Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Bluetron, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. Sorry for the wait, the show I was in fired off, but now I'm back on the grind and excited to bring you more content featuring archetypes that refuse to play well with each other. We've explored a lot of xenophobia these past few months, but today we're looking at arguably the most restrictive yet, Mayakashi. So here's the list, and oh boy, there's a lot here. I can feel the pain in my lungs already. As always, I'll give you a little bit of background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and as always, the card by card. So firstly, for those of you that don't know, Mayakashi is an archetype of zombie monsters. Get excited, get excited. One of which repeatedly reborns from the graveyard. Yes, hype increasing. They float, keep it coming, but they lock you out of non-Mayakashi extra deck monsters. Their associated monsters are fine, but they're just not good enough to cut it on their own as a dedicated strategy. They're meant to get a beautiful Mayakashi Daki onto the board and use her to synchro ladder up to their level 11, but all it takes is one piece of disruption to screw up your laddering. From that point on, you are dead in the water. Add to that the fact that in order to effectively float, there have to be other zombies in your graveyard, and that only 2 of the Mayakashi are even remotely playable, and you've suddenly got a bit of an issue when it comes to deck building. So we've isolated the problem with Mayakashi. It's an archetype that can consistently assemble a big stinky win condition, but has issue playing through disruption, filling gaps in its monster lineup, and sending enough zombies to the graveyard to float. This makes it a perfect candidate for ZOMBIESWORN. ZOMBIESWORN is well known for assembling incredible turn 1 boards through multiple hand traps, but has always had an issue closing out games. These two archetypes complement each other perfectly on paper. By playing a high enough density of zombies, we can use our incidental mills to both fill the graveyard with spare zombos, as well as bin a couple of relevant Mayakashi and Mizuki. The turn after our curious Brilliant Fusion Omega pop-off, we can close the game out with a series of huge zombie bosses, each of which floats into a smaller one if you dare interrupt our synchro laddering. The planned ZOMBIESWORN portion of the deck can do the heavy lifting of chewing through opponents' boards or setting up turn 1, and the Mayakashi portion can do the equally difficult work of actually beating them. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First, our one-ofs. One of the reasons we have to play 60 cards is it becomes much less of a big deal that you're playing about 8 Garnets. We have Gem Knight Garnet, Wolf and Raiden for a charge package, Spirit Master, Trick Clown, Thousand Blades, and 2 Snows. For zombies, we have 1 Gozuki, 3 Mezuki, 3 Solitaire, and 2 Unizombie. For plants, we have 3 Scorpio, 1 Cobra, and 3 Lone Fire. For hand traps, we have 2 Ash Blossom and 2 Ghost Ogre. For Mayakashi, we have 3 Yasha, who can special summon himself from the hand if you discard another Mayakashi. He's somewhat useful for binning Daki. 3 Sheifu, who specials a Mayakashi from graveyard, excellent if you've milled one already. 3 Daki, the best one, who facilitates the synchro climb. 3 Poison, who specials himself from the graveyard if a Mayakashi is destroyed. And 3 Heijun, who's just insane. He special summons a Mayakashi from the deck when he's normal or special summoned. For spells, we have a list of strong one-ofs, 1 1-for-1, 1 Soul Charge, 1 Foolish, and 1 Reborn, followed by 3 Mayakashi Revolt, 3 Charge, 2 Called, 3 Brilliant Fusion. For traps, we've just got the ever-present impermanences. In the extra deck, we have 1 Seraphonite, 2 Omega, and then 1 of each of the Mayakashi monsters, each of which has a different effect when they're specialed from the grave, and can self-special if a higher level, or in the highest level's case, a Link, monster is destroyed. The 11 is unaffected by other cards' effects, the 9 destroys an opponent's monster, the 7 destroys a spell or trap, the 5 mills both players for 3, and the 3 makes your monsters indestructible by battle. For Xyz, we have Tornado and Minerva, followed by Invoker, and the Links 1 Curious, 2 Ice Mayakashi, who self-protects if she points to a Link monster and halves a monster's attack when a Synchro monster is destroyed at its Link point. Finally, 1 Mrs. Radiant. Whew! So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Galaxy Eyes Kaiju. Not exactly a tier 1 meta threat, but then again, neither are we. We've opened pretty well. This Lone Fire Blossom means we'll have access to the entirety of our combo, and most importantly, there are no Garnets in this opener. Thank you, 60 card. We'll start by normal summoning this copy of Lone Fire Blossom so we can get a second Lone Fire Blossom from our deck to our side of the field. We'll do that one more time before ending this chain on Predaplant Orpheus Scorpio. We'll use his effect to send a copy of Predaplant Orpheus Scorpio from our hand to the graveyard to get a Darling Tonia Cobra from our deck, and a copy of Brilliant Fusion to our hand. We're then going to make MX Saber Invoker, get Thousand Blades, Link Summon Mrs. Radiant, use Brilliant Fusion to get Seraphonite, trigger the grave effect of Trick Clown, go into Thousand Blades to make material for Curious, use Curious's effect to send Wolf and 3 additional cards off of her own effect, fire off a charge, set a copy of Called, and special summon a Tornado Dragon before passing it back to our opponent. The first thing our opponent's going to do is fire off a Pot of Desires before tributing over our Tornado Dragon. This triggers the effect of Trick Clown in Graveyard and Thousand Blades immediately after, set 3 traps and pass it back to us. Things are looking pretty good because we now have access to the Mayakashi half of our deck. We're going to go ahead and special summon Daki from deck with Hejun's effect and then start working up the chain, going on to Rickshaw, Poison, Tengu, Beautiful, and skeleton. We're then going to get this copy of Daki from our graveyard to our side of the field. Our opponent flips a threatening roar, even though we have far over lethal, but the writing's kind of on the wall for this one unless they pull something miraculous out of thin air. They'll go ahead and special summon Schwarzschild alongside a Kaiju to go into Galaxy Ice Cypher Dragon. We'll destroy it with a Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, and they will concede. So it's time for game 2, and unfortunately we are up against one of my new favorite decks, Crusadia. We're going first, which is ideal insofar that we've drawn the combo and no garnets, but not ideal insofar as Crusadia is really, really good at just killing you from zero. We're going to start by normal summoning this copy of Lone Fire Blossom, same combo as last time, you'll get used to it. We'll fire off a couple more before going into Orpheus Scorpio. This time we at least can discard a Mizuki, that's going to be important for later. We'll then go into a copy of Invoker, getting ourselves 1,000 Blades from deck, and a Brilliant Fusion from hand. We'll link summon this Mrs. Radiant, add a Seraphonite to our side of the board, and a Trick Clown to our graveyard, trigger its grave effect. To trigger the grave effect of 1,000 Blades, go into Curious, sending a copy of Wolf and then 3 additional cards, special summoning Wolf and going into a rank 4. Now unfortunately, this rank 4 is not particularly good against Crusadia. They're going to normal summon a Leonis, then go into Magius, then they're going to special summon a Sacred Tree. We're going to Ash Blossom, but ooh, they have the power, so that will be negated. Yikes. Okay, well there's Celestial Bodies and there's Regux. That's going to get them the field spell. They're going to add Leonis back because of course they have not special summoned it yet. They're going to give us a Gamciel, and there's Equimax. This bodes very poorly for us. Maximus as well means that they are probably far over the necessary line to kill us. We'll activate the effect of Tornado Dragon to destroy this field spell, but unfortunately our opponent will negate it with the effect of Equimax before attacking for, oh man, a painful amount of damage. Okay, well my faith is a little bit shaken, but unfortunately we don't have too much time to mourn. It's time for game 3, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's on True Draco, which bodes incredibly poorly for us. This deck is usually pretty good at playing through hate, but the amount that True Draco plays might be enough to overwhelm us. We don't have Lone Fire Blossom, so we're going to have to be satisfied with Unizombie. We'll go ahead and normal summon that, then use his effect to send a Mizuki from our deck to the graveyard. Afterwards, we'll activate Brilliant Fusion to get a Gemknight, Seraphonite, and a Wolf to our side of the board. Use Unizombie one more time to send another Mizuki from our hand to the graveyard, bring a Mizuki back, and go into Mrs. Radiant and Minerva. Then we'll mill 3, one of which is a Daki, so we might be off to the races. Our opponent's going to start by activating Pot of Duality and finding Apocalypse number 2. They'll go ahead and set 1 in the True Draco Heritage, tributing over it for Ignis Heat. That's going to destroy Minerva. When I activate the effect of Minerva, there's the effect of Ignis Heat. Oh boy, that's frustrating. We get a Trick Clown out of the deal, but unfortunately we really want to do it on our own terms. They're going to tribute summon again, then go to Battle Phase, hitting over our copy of Mrs. Radiant. We'll return the Garnet to hand for giggles, then they'll attack over our remaining monster. We did save the Ash Blossom, so we do get to negate this copy of Card of Demise, but unfortunately they still get to plus off of the effect of their Ignis. We Dorian, we have a Raiden. Maybe we can make something happen with Daki. They're going to go ahead and add another Heritage to hand. We're going to activate Mizuki to bring back Daki, and there's Rivalry of Warlords. Unfortunately, we can't out that card, and we're forced to concede. So it's time for game 2, and oh boy, this is not the hand I wanted to open. We're relying on Plant ZOMBIESWORN for a pretty particular reason. It facilitates very powerful turn 1 board setups. Unfortunately, without it, we are left just playing the pure Mayakashi cards, which hopefully this game will serve as a grim reminder as to why we're not allowed to do that. We're going to start by normal summoning a copy of Hajun. That's going to get a Daki from deck, and then we can start the Synchro Climb. We'll go into Rickshaw, then afterwards we'll go into Poison. After that, we're going to go into Tengu, followed by going into Beautiful, and of course, Skeleton. We get the Daki back after Skeleton is special summoned, but this is not a very formidable board. Our opponent's going to start by, you guessed it, normal summoning an Amano Iwatho, so when they eventually destroy our skeleton, right now, as they pop the Apocalypse, it's not going to be able to float. They'll draw about 1,000,000 cards, an additional one off of the Heritage, before tribute summoning for a Dynamite Knight. They'll use another effect of Dragonic Diagram and start attacking. We take 2,800 here, but we're not out yet. We do have a Monster Reborn, which is something at the very least. We're going to activate Charge of the Light Brigade. Our opponent's going to plus off of their copy of Dynamite Knuckle. We're going to get a Wolf to our hand, normal summon a Poison, then activate Monster Reborn, trying to trigger the effect of Beautiful Mayakashi, and there is the Monarch's Erupt. Oh boy, this deck cannot deal with a skill drain. We do 100 to our opponent, but of course it's protected by Dragonic Diagram, and now things are looking very bad. They're going to activate this copy of Pot of Duality. Oh, they find another Ignis Heat. They're going to go ahead and use Dragonic Diagram to get another True Draco Heritage, normal summon a copy of Amano, then draw used True Draco Heritage's Tribute effect, and start attacking over my monsters for much, much more than lethal. So we're back with the deck. Woof. It's not good, obviously. Here are my problems. 1. Neither part of the deck is particularly competitive. The Mayakashi monsters are so easy to out, and the ZOMBIESWORN portion might have been formidable in 2016, but no longer packs the punch it once did. 2, this build really just shifts the problems with the deck instead of solving them. Like, yes, you now have enough material to summon your Mayakashi back consistently, but now things like hand size and normal summon reliance become visible weaknesses. It turns out when you peeled back the existing weaknesses, there were just more weaknesses underneath it, like a weakness onion. And then 3, god, the extra deck restriction sucks. If we could back up these plays with like a Bora load or something, maybe we'd be in a better spot, but as of now, we're just trying our best to get there with a 3300 attack vanilla. So that's that. Sorry for the hiatus, and more importantly, sorry for another overhyped zombie archetype. Maybe I'll play it in a Demise shell next. That seems to be the easiest way to make bad decks look good. If you have a certain idea for a deck or archetype you want to see me play on a future episode of this show, let me know in the comment section below or on my Discord and I'll do my best to accommodate you. Additionally, if you want to see me play these decks on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/monobluetron every weekend. See you Wednesday.